Hello, my name is Brandon Cannon, and I will be talking about my build analysis for learning design. Learning design is essential in providing meaningful instruction. As someone that teaches face-to-face, online synchronous courses, and online asynchronous courses, I know this better than some, and I know that a great learning design is key in carrying out excellent instruction. Furthermore, good learning experience design can create relevant, engaging, and even memorable educational experiences that address certain challenges of students of all ages. I think there are some certain guidelines that you need to follow when creating meaningful, excellent learning design, especially with college learners. But I think this is true for all learners of every age. Um, First, I think it's important to design a path of meaning, show students the point of why they're doing anything, because in the back of every student's mind is why are we doing this? So you need to have a path and show students what you expect of them by the end of the course or the chapter and the path that it's going to take to get there. Furthermore, you should make efficient use of limited time. At least for my classes, we only meet 75 minutes twice a week. And those that are online asynchronous, we don't really meet at all. We have one big meeting at the beginning of the semester, and then we have kind of an all hands meeting once a month. So we don't really have a lot of time together. So it's essential that you make use of your limited time. Also link goals to your activities. Don't just, for example, I'm a foreign language instructor. I can't just say, okay, these are how you conjugate verbs. Explain why we need to conjugate these verbs. Explain the purpose. Explain where you're going and what you're going to need to conjugate these verbs for. When you're talking about learning how to conjugate in the past, you can use this to create activities such as talking about your favorite trip that you ever went on. And you have to use the past tense. And there are different types of past tenses that you conjugate in the past in Spanish, for example. So again, link these goals to your activities. Also, predict what you might have students consider to be something confusing. When you're designing your lesson, there will always be students that have questions or don't understand a particular concept. Try to predict what students might be confused about. Build on understandings and address certain gaps or misunderstandings. And don't just say this is how it is. Either you're on the ship or you're not. Moving on. Address these gaps and learn from the gaps. And also, you want to provide immersive real-world simulations or real-world experiences. It's more than just knowing the content. Have students understand what to do with this content. Have students understand if they're fluent in a language, this will help their experience abroad, much more so than being in a country without knowing a foreign language. My experiences in Spanish-speaking countries go wildly different than when I'm in Japan or when I'm in Korea. I've been to both, and I couldn't speak Korean or Japanese, and there was definitely a gap in conversation there. A lot of things got lost in translation. So we need to provide immersive and real-world simulations and experiences for students. In regards to my builds analysis for learning design, a lot of my learning design ties in with CAL, or computer-assisted language learning. And a lot of people think that this is a really new field, but computer-assisted language learning has been going on for over a century. Specifically, however, I would say within the last 30 years, and really CAL in the 1990s, at the end of the century, that's when things really started to turn and look a little bit more like where we are today. At the end of the 20th century, CAL was focused mainly on communicative competence, that is, grammatical knowledge of linguistic components of the language user, of the linguistic components, for example, syntax, morphology, phonology, social knowledge, and others. CAL in the 1990s focused principally on the social knowledge of language, with an emphasis on effective and appropriate use of target languages. Of the 5 C's that we discuss in foreign language education, which are communication, cultures, connections, comparisons, and communities, standards of language learning instituted by ACTFL in 1996. CALL in the 1990s was rooted mainly in communication. Furthermore, the 90s ushered in a wider array of technological tools to be used for language learning, with a greater availability of digital tools and resources. With the advent of the CD player as well as the DVD player, media was now able to be widely distributed in digital form without the necessity of auxiliary technological tools. Examples of video-based learning tools include videos such as Destinos, created by Dr. Bill Van Patten in the early 90s, 1992, as well as French in Action, which was created by Capretz and Lydgate in 1987. These were tools that have kind of shaped the way that we go about learning now and learning design in computer-assisted language learning. And again, a lot of the tools I look at, they mention and discuss where learning is going for a computer-assisted language learning. And just a few articles that I've looked at, for example, Butler et al. In 2014 wrote an article called Online Games for Young Learners Foreign Language Learning. In this large-scale study, Butler et al. In 2014 examined Japanese learners of English aged 4 to 12. Their study focused on the learners' behaviors while playing online instructional games in English. Having analyzed the results of nearly 4,000 participants, the authors found that different relational patterns were dependent upon the game type, difficulty levels, and frequency of use of said games. So we're taking games now and turning them into a learning experience, and I think this is a great tool. I've discussed this in learning design using virtual reality and augmented reality, mixed reality. All of these sorts are very, very great possibilities for learning design, especially in today's day and age with gaming is now it's called esports in some fields. So I think it's essential. Learner autonomy must be considered when discussing learning design. I think gone are the days of we teach at students and they're supposed to absorb all the information in the classroom. With the flipped method, this is essential in learning design for our classroom, going beyond just teaching students new things in the class and then they just have to do homework and then that's it. How we do it in my learning design is we provide homework pre-class work where students are learning how to conjugate in a certain tense or learning about a cultural topic or learning vocab and applying it. And then they use what they've learned in their homework and implement it into what their participation is in class. Godwin Jones in 2019 wrote the article Writing Digital Wilds, Learner Autonomy and Informal Language Learning. While this wasn't an article discussing a study conducted by an author per se, the present journal that I'm discussing serves more as a means to inform readers on the current and ever-evolving field of learner autonomy and language learning. Specifically, Godwin Jones highlights the affordances that may be provided within the realm of informal language learning. The author asserts that given the influx of platforms and Web 2.0 tools, autonomous language is able to thrive through computer-assisted language learning as well as mobile-assisted language learning. These are all tools, again, that I think will be essential moving forward in learning design, and these are all things that we can consider when discussing various tools. Also involving learning design with CALL in mind. Again, I think it would be difficult, nearly impossible, to put a value proposition analysis on this. Millions of dollars, I would imagine billions even, in looking at computer-assisted language learning and the tools that we use with CALL. I think throughout the experience, it would be essential to consider CALL in learning design. Given what's happened this year with the pandemic, I think we all realize that computer-assisted language learning is going to be essential moving forward. Problems in adopting this new technology, I think we're seeing it right now. We're all adjusting on the fly. I think proper training is going to be necessary. I think proper workshops and even classes such as this should be essential in implementing CALL in learner design. And again, I do think this opens up new possibilities for our program. We have a lot of face-to-face classes in our Spanish department, and we've already created, I believe, 30 new online courses. So I do think we are trending towards eventually having a majority of classes being taught online. I also do think a risk management plan needs to be in place. We're working on this now in regards to the Spanish and Portuguese departments. And again, proper training, and the course coordinators do have a risk management plan that they're working on. Regarding user experience for CALL and online learning and learner design, our company or our department carries out every day statistical views of our online teaching and looking at the recordings of our classes and seeing ways that we can improve on our own classes. And we are currently looking through the data and looking at grades and looking at performance, complexity, accuracy, fluency in learners' speech production and writing production. And I do think that users are going to greatly benefit in the learner design that includes a great deal of computer-assisted language learning. Furthermore, with the impact, the emerging learning technology in regards to persons with a disability, I do think our department does a great job with this, and the Disability Resource Center really works with us a great deal in implementing our computer-assisted language learning courses, and as well as our foreign language program that focuses on language learning through technology. I think this is essential moving forward. A couple of final points here. I do think computer-assisted language learning in terms of learning design provides an intuitive as well as rational way of learning, and it goes beyond the classroom and has students learning and working on their own as well as with others, and as well as with the instructor, and I think this is crucial. Furthermore, the technology that we are using, of course, is designed for our field. There are some things that we can adjust with Zoom, such as the breakout rooms. This is great for our classroom and independent work, so everybody's not talking over each other, and I think that's essential. There will be dependencies moving forward, students being able to have access to internet. Students have complained, at least to me, that they shouldn't have to pay full tuition if they're having to pay for their own Wi-Fi, this, that, and the other, if they're learning remotely. This is something we're going to have to consider. Some dependencies that will be introduced is more use of laptops, mobile devices, things of that nature, online platforms. But again, I ultimately do think this will be a good thing. Gone are the days of just read chapter 1, pages 11 through 6, or pages 11 through 16 rather, and be prepared to talk about them in class. We're delving further into cultures, into grammar, into vocab. And I think this is going to greatly benefit the students. I think the advancements in technology are shown every day, and even just learning apps that you can implement within the program are going to be a very great tool moving forward. Signals, at least one person in our company has been assigned to gather signals about future emerging technologies. These are our course coordinators and course developers. I am the assistant coordinator developer, and I'm gathering a lot of signals and learning a great deal about the implementation of computer-assisted language learning within our learning design, and we're going to have a lot to work with moving forward. Lastly, in regards to assessing where this emerging technology is on this developmental curve, we're not talking about one specific product here, but computer-assisted language learning, it's in a great place. There's a lot that we need to work out. We need to find a better way to utilize language apps such as Duolingo and Babbel, linking this up with students, and also being able to link students with native speakers through programs that we've created, such as Silk Cafe. It's an online web chat that students can have with native speakers, and programs like Talk Abroad, where they have 30-minute conversations with native speakers. I think this is going to be a great benefit for students moving forward, and I'm really interested to see how our program develops. Thank you all for your time. I know I went a little bit over, but I think this is a fascinating topic, and I think we have a lot to work with here. Take care.